so sorry for that interruption there. Between my camera, my eye, and someone knocking on my door, it was just, but anyway, I got it situated. I got it situated. I apologize for that. So sorry for that. But going back to part one, and my camera is fully charged up now. So, but I will be shutting it back off at 11:30. I just thought I'd tell you guys that. And then I will come back live again. So I will come back live again, okay? I will. I will. Believe me, I will. Okay. So, Josephus, a Jewish historian, says there were only about 6,000 Pharisees. Who cares how many Pharisees there were? It was just a lot going on, okay? So, undoubtedly, religious leaders had heard stories about miraculous healings at that time. So they were all talking and everything. And basically, since Jesus had not been trained by these leaders, they probably approached this meeting with a bias against him. If they could prove that the stories about his performing miracles was false, they would certainly do so. Um, yeah, so they were very biased. But God's power is not limited just because unbelievers are present. Um, yeah, just that. His power works regardless of whether people are present or not. But once again, I just want to apologize to those who had tuned in earlier and it was cut off. I'm so sorry. I had an interruption here. But like I say, I will be cutting off again in about another 10 to 15 minutes. Actually, at 11:30 on the news, so that I can totally recharge this camera and have no interruptions, okay? All right. So, um, the 18th verse. And behold, men brought in a bed, a man which was taken with a palsy, and they sought means to bring him in and to lay him before him. Lay this man down before Jesus. He was very sick of palsy. And, they, heard of Jesus going around performing all these miracles and everything. And it was like, yo, let's bring the worst one. Let's bring this guy, I guess in their minds, it was like, let's bring the worst case scenario, what can happen, right? Okay, so Jesus was teaching in a house out of town. Visitors, along with local residents, filled the building and probably also had crowded the narrow street outside of it. Okay? Through this crowd, 4 men tried to bring the paralyzed man. Apparently, the man has suffered a stroke or an injury that left him paralyzed and incapable of walking. He had to be carried on this bed, which was a pallet or stretcher of some sort. St. Mark, the second chapter and third verse, really dwells on the 4 men that were, trying to bring this man through the crowd, so that Jesus could look at him. Okay? All right. So, hey, you're back. You're back. I apologize. Yeah, I had an interruption. I had the camera discharged, and I'm about to let it charge. I'm about to shut it down in another 5 minutes, but I wanted to make sure that everybody got my apology first. Um, but I'm going to shut it down at 11:30 on a nose so that it can fully charge. And then I had an interruption too. I had a visitor. So, yeah. So I apologize. I apologize for that. Sorry, 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 sorry. Um, yeah. So getting back to part one, because this is so lengthy. I mean, I do my homework. I can't stress enough. When it comes to um, everything, how I feel about God and what I know about God and uh, how He just exemplifies His Spirit in me. When it comes to Bible study, I am very serious. Most people know I'm pretty serious about it. I don't take it lightly. Yes, 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 I do. Yeah. All right. So, all right. Reading the 19th verse. And when they could not find by what way they might bring him in because of the multitude, they want they went upon the housetop and let him down through, I think it was through the ceiling though, it was some kind of ceiling of some sort, with his couch into the midst before Jesus. So they were basically lowering this man down, um, so that Jesus could look at him, perform a miracle, look at him, you know. Like I said, during this time, um, all the great philosophers, scholars and priests and other prophets in that time and everything, they heard about Jesus, they heard about him. And it was like, well, let's see what he could do. Basically, they was like, they was pretty biased because of the fact that, God was doing such wondrous work. They were just like, we don't really know. We don't really. I can imagine how they must have felt like. They probably was like, we don't know if we're going to really believe this or not. So let's bring him the worst case scenario. Let's bring him this palsy man. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Oh, that's not so. That's not so, my friend Omar. That's not so. All right. You have to watch my videos. You have to watch my videos. Um. All right. Going back to what I've written down here. I wrote down a lot, okay? It seems surprising that the crowd would not make a way for the men to bring the paralyzed man down to Jesus. However, this in consideration was to offer as an assistance so that this man in need of healing could come to Jesus. They wanted him to come to Jesus on his own. Anyway, the faith of these men was not to be thwarted by the crowd. One way to or another, they were determined to get this crippled man in front of Jesus, you know. So they was determined to bring that crippled man to Jesus so that Jesus could look at him and so that Jesus could, could heal him. So like I said, that is St. Luke, the 5th chapter, and the 19th verse. I was explaining the 19th verse a little bit more. Okay, so we're moving forward, and it's getting close to almost 11:30, folks. So, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Like I said, I am going to close out at 11:30 so that the camera can recharge. So that the camera could charge. All right. Okay, so let's see here. Where are we going to pick up at here? So when I come back for part 2, all right, I'm going to pick up from the 20th verse. Okay? So let me just read the 20th verse real quick. And when he saw their faith, he said unto them, Man, thy sins are forgiven thee. All right, so that is the 20th verse of St. Luke, the 5th chapter. Okay? All right, so when I come back, when I do part 2, we're going to go from the 20th verse to 24th verse. And then, of course, I'm going to summarize the verses that I'm going through here in Luke, the 5th chapters, verses 17 through 24. And then after I summarize it, then I'm going to give, like I always love to do, my life example, how it connects to that scripture. I am a strong believer that experience is the best teacher. Experience is the best teacher. That's right. Hello, hello. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Yep. Look at that. And it's about to die. It's about to die. Okay, so I will be doing part 2. So I will let you know because I have to let the camera charge. Okay. Thank you very much, Omar, for life. Thank you. Thank you. I will notify you to let you know when I'm going back live again because the camera has to charge. It's like between the camera and I'm just going to come back when it's fully charged. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Talk to you then. All right.